So carrying on from the live weekly event, we've got all around the McLaren 570S. We've got some big challenges ahead of us. And it's all around a couple of the races that with the standard 570 we never managed to win the races or get the top points we wanted to receive. But it's also gave us a challenge, and especially with today's race, that we're going to have a very lively McLaren that we've got to tame, and it makes it for some very exciting race and hopefully for some very exciting content for you guys to watch. We've had a lot of fun with the McLaren so far. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. It's a ridiculously powerful rear-wheel drive supercar, so there's a lot to tame here, and none more than when we do head on over to the first race, or the only race that we're going to do today, Lord of the Roads, the 2.8 mile 2-lap circuit race in the 570S, but we've got no restriction for RP. So we can make this thing as fast as we want. We can put every upgrade onto this car, and we're going to do so, and we're going to see what kind of time we can set. Then we're obviously going to try and improve on that time and see what we can do. So heading straight into the workshop, we're of course going to make sure we've got all of the race parts applied to this one. Air filters, exhaust systems. We'll go for that anti-lag turbo as well, depending on how we feel with that one. We'll stick the anti-lag turbo on for now. Suspension, we can take that off-road suspension or the all-road suspension off, fit the track suspension, which should be pretty good to play about with. We'll come back to gearboxes shortly. We've got the top ECU, we've got slick tyres. Want to upgrade the chassis to race spec. We want to make sure the aero kit is also race spec as well. I don't think it makes all too much difference with the McLaren, but we'll make sure that's done. Transmission up to race spec. As for the gearbox, obviously we know the issues we had previously with the short gearbox. I still quite like that versatile gearbox. I know a lot of people will be using the long gearbox, but I'm quite happy with the versatile box we've got. And the gain difference between the two, you're losing 2 RP by having the long box, but in terms of power outputs, not to 30, not to 60, and your top speed, I don't think there's much of a difference there. I don't see the need to spend the 26,249 credits to fit that long box. I don't think there's much of a gain to be had there. I may be proven wrong, but we'll go in with a fully tuned up McLaren 570S, and we'll see what kind of time we can set to kick things off. How much can we improve over the stock car? Of course we're going to improve a vast amount, but can we improve first and foremost? Then can we improve on the improvement? And it's essentially what I love about these events, coming back in, rinse repeating, playing with the parts fitted, playing with the tunes. You guys know it's kind of what I base my content around. It's what I enjoy about the game itself. So we'll head on over now and we'll get into the first bit of action today. We'll head into our first attempt of Lords of the Road. Like I mentioned, it's a 2-lap circuit race, and it is dry and it is on asphalt, thankfully. Leaderboard time. Now, leaderboard, let me just quickly move the camera here for now. The leaderboard's very exciting. 1:47 being the top time from Jason, Vince up there 47, Asa with a 48, Paku with a 48. Fantastic. We're all the way down in 215th with our stock time of 2:16. So we've got a lot of time to improve on here. Realistically, if I can get into the top 10 first and foremost, I'm going to be exceptionally happy. My target, as always, is to get into the top 5. Are we going to get up that far? It looks like it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but if we can get up towards 1:53, I'll be very happy with that. Break into the top 10, then we can maybe look to advance further forward on the leaderboard for this race. Yeah, 1:53 is going to be the first goal for today. Then we can maybe talk about breaking the 1:50 time on this race. It feels like it's going to be quite a big challenge. It's a very close leaderboard between realistically first and 6th place all the way down to Ballin World. So let's crack on with it. Let's see what kind of time we can set with this one. 1:53. Guys, let me know in the comment section, what kind of times have you been setting? Before we actually go any further, let's quickly talk about the tune. Now, this is the tune I obviously built for the previous video up to 900 RP, and we're kind of going to go in with the same tune applied to this one, where we've made a huge mistake. As you guys can see on the top bar there, we've not actually selected the custom tune. And this was a comment that we did get in the video. Thank you very much for that. We have tuned this car, or I've tuned the car, but I've not actually applied the custom tune. And that was a horrible, embarrassing mistake for me to be making here. I love building a tune, and I thought I'd actually built quite a good tune there. It turns out I've actually been using the stock formats for the cars. So even in this race right here, I still don't actually have that custom tune applied. Now, thank you very much for telling me in the comments section that that was the case. When I went back and watched the video again, I actually realised that was the error that I had made. So even though I've built a tune for the car, I'm not actually running that goddamn tune. Very embarrassing. I have to put my hands up. I apologise for that one. But it means we can come back and try that tune, which we will do shortly. But with the car built as it is, with the format that the car's in, it was actually still fantastic to use. Although very lively, very, very, very powerful, and very tail happy. The McLaren did handle this circuit fantastically well, managing to get close to apexes, trying to get the power down. You can see the back end of this with all that 900 odd horsepower just constantly lit up through that very awkward little section there. I'm sure you guys will have had as much trouble as I had coming through that little barrier there, a little curb in the middle of the road sending us into there. We obviously have to take caution. But crossing out lap number 1, we did feel good overall. Very tricky braking zone through the little chicane right here, just touching the wall, but doesn't feel like it's compromised us all too much. Under the bridge, into the right hand, we can cut that one nice and tight, get the power back down, short shift second up into third gear, round the left hander, try and get that power down, but as we mentioned, so much power going through the back wheels, feels like we're going to have to play around with that differential to try and get the traction down a lot better out of some of those critical corners. Round the left hand here, double apex, just managing to touch it, but once again, when we apply the power, the back end just wants to step out in the McLaren. Definitely need to be doing some more work with the differential, but like we mentioned, first of all, we actually have to apply our goddamn tune to the car. Not going to live that one down, I am sure. Come out of that left-hander, like I mentioned, clipping that curb, taking a little bit of air, losing a little bit of time, but overall, feels like a reasonable time we've put together here. What kind of time do we get when we do cross the start-finish line? Where do we land on that leaderboard? Well, we do get up into the top 10 now. Full transparency, it wasn't my first attempt. I think that was maybe attempt number 5, but we did get up into the top 10, 1 minute 53.7 there. It felt like quite a good time overall, but the obvious issue is we never actually had our tune applied to the car. I don't think I'm going to live that one down. I'm not going to let myself live that one down because it was a very embarrassing mistake. But of course, the next topic here is how much can we improve? Can we push up to break the 1 minute 50 level? Push up towards Shino and Bollenworld? I would like to get up towards Paku and Asa Yunon, but I just don't think I'm there just yet with this car. I think I need a bit more time. But looking at the tune themselves, a lot of guys are down at 971 RP, and that's by still having that all-road suspension fitted. Maybe there's something there, maybe that helps out the balance of the car, the transition through some of those lefts and rights. And obviously I spoke about the power, there was just too much to the back wheels. Now yes, we can fix that through the differential, but I also think fitting the powerful turbo, taking away some of that torque, is going to help the McLaren out overall. So we've done so, put the all-road suspension on, fitted the powerful turbo, and we'll come back in for another attempt here with our tune applied. Now I have obviously played with the tune with us changing the parts fitted to the car and the more power. I have had to tailor the tune a little bit more. I'll show you that, my revised version of the tune towards the end of today's video as well, so stick around for that one if you want to try it. Outbraking ourselves a little bit into the first tricky chicane just there, but overall we got around a little bit better into the right hander here. When we get the power back down, we are still a little bit oversteery, but I would say we're a lot more manageable now that we've got our custom tune applied. Thank God. It does feel a lot better now. Yes, we're not going to have as much acceleration or as much top speed. Top speed's not really an issue, but acceleration we're not going to have as much. But the power delivery, in my opinion, is going to be better. Now it's slightly reduced the torque levels, and of course having the differential altered as well. It feels like already this is a completely different car to drive. Bolstered by the fact that we've not got as much torque coming out of some of these corners, it's a lot easier for myself to get the power down here, and we can really see that with the times that we're actually managing to set here. We're around about 2 seconds off the first lap already. Into the chicane once again, feels like we're a bit cleaner into this time around. Under the tunnel, get ready for that right hander which we can cut hopefully. Yeah, we do manage to cut it. Short shift up into 4th gear with our custom gearbox now applied. Come out of that corner again, short shifting into 4th gear, managing to get the traction where we need that traction to be. Push forward into the left hander right here, just missing apex 1, just clipping apex 2, but on quite a big power slide there. Round the right hander, managing to lift off the little kink that sits in the middle of the road just there. As we get the power down, a little snap of oversteer at the back end, under the bridge, into the left-hander, just missed the little, just clipping the little curb in the middle of the road. Now we need to concentrate, get the power down, get the traction, round the big, sweeping left-hander to that start-finish line. What kind of time can we do? Can we improve? Has the custom tuned worked? Has the change of parts worked? It has, but we didn't break the 1 minute 50. And guys, it wasn't for the want of trying. It was around about 2:30 in the morning by the time I finished recording this. 9:73 is where I ended up with the overall RP, 53-second lap time, with a race time of 1 minute 50, so not quite managing to crack the top 6 or top 5 of the leaderboard, but hitting a 1 minute 50, I was actually quite happy with that. And I think going back, I could probably improve here or there. There is a faster time in this car, but once again, a massive hats off to all of the guys that did manage to go faster. Now, as I mentioned, I did come in and change the tune. I changed it drastically here. With it actually selected, the gearbox didn't feel as good as it should have done, so change the way those gear ratios are. If you want to go back in and try it, you can pause the video here. You can see the gear ratios where they do currently sit. Did feel night and day difference. Suspension wise, raised it a little bit with the curbs, I mean obviously with the crests on that track, a little bit more ground clearance, stiffening up the springs and the shock absorbers. When we're throwing that from left to right, the thing felt planted. It did feel really good until we put the power down. Suspension felt on point with that one overall. Over to the differentials, now we can see a huge change here. Dropping the differential down to 12, upping deceleration, upping the rear brake to 100%. This thing slowed down where I wanted it to. It was actually a lot more manageable. Stiffening the front and rear anti-roll bars, reducing the camber ever so slightly, and more importantly, upping that tyre pressure to 5.8 and 5.7 rear and front respectively. Braking, you guys know, had problems with the brakes with this car, but managing to balance it quite well. 70% front to rear, 200% brake pressure. This thing felt absolutely fantastic around that track, but make sure when you come out of that, you are selecting custom on these bottom 4 tabs. Don't be an idiot, don't do what I did and forget to select those ones after spending time building a tune. Make sure those are selected. Massive error on my behalf. I might need to even go back to 120 beats per minute and try that, make sure I did actually have the correct tune applied to the car. But guys, please make sure when you're applying tunes, you do select those custom buttons. It does matter. But guys, that's where we kind of sit with that one so far. Absolutely loved this week's live weekly events in the 570S. Like I mentioned, it was a car I never owned, a car I never drove. And it's actually been a fantastic addition to the garage. Let me know what you guys thought of today's content. Let me know what you thought of the tune. If you're going to go back and try the new tune out with the build that we've kind of got there, please let me know some feedback in the comment section, where can improvements be made, etc, etc. Guys, as always, I do hope you have enjoyed today's video. Please smash up the like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And stay tuned for more updates on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown.